And then like later on in my life, I went through this huge amount of trauma from my perspective or experience. And while Asia is like very feminine and like very flowing and very connected to nature and just like a lot more spirituality. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
This is another time when I've done a podcast with someone I've spoken to who I've barely met or barely spoken to or just spoken to over text. So it's
Yeah,
interesting to do this and pick this up as we go. Okay,
right.
great. So tell me about yourself.
Sure, Marty. So where do you live again? You live also here in the UK?
I'm in the UK. I live down in a little village called big village called Birchington, which is near Margate, which is
Oh,
right on the
yeah,
coast, right on the
yeah,
east
I know that
coast.
area. I've been to Margate before.
You have? Okay, it's
Yeah,
a great place to visit. Lots of history there.
yeah, in Bros. My son's grandma, she lived there, and my son's uncle still lives there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. So that's really nice. Yeah, I remember the area, the art gallery there, and just by the coast, and yeah, it was really nice. I'm in London, so I'm European. I was born in Slovakia, and then I grew up in Canada. So most of my life, I mean, maybe half of my life I spent in Canada, and then 11 years in Asia, so South Korea, and then Indonesia, Bali, the last 6 years. And now, after 6 years in Bali, we just, decided to visit my parents. It's been a while, like 5 years. So I wanted to visit my dad and my mom. She's still in Canada. So yeah, and then my career has been artist. Like I'm a painter. I studied art, like fine art, and then I went to Korea to teach English. So I mean, yeah, art was great. Like I had a career, like start out a career as well. I did like exhibitions in Toronto and New York as well, city. So that was really beautiful. Then teaching English in Korea, and then I studied holistic medicine. So yeah, all these things are like really natural for me, and I just really love natural health as well, like yoga, meditation, acupressure, and kind of like therapy. And then I did like Reiki, breath work, yeah, like positive affirmations I use like with my clients, like to support their mental and emotional health and spiritual, of course physical as well. So I know that's a lot, but yeah, that's basically me.
Okay. Okay. So what kind of got interested in holistic health?
Well, it's been running in the family. Like my family has always been interested in like really healthy eating and like herbs and kind of like very natural lifestyle. My dad was really into like yoga and meditation when he was growing up. So like more the Eastern philosophies. He really enjoyed that. My mom was more traditional, like more Christian. So I came from like a spiritual, like religious background. And yeah, so like it's been running in the family. And then when I was like searching what to do, like my master's or like doctorate, then I just was really drawn to holistic medicine. And I studied that in India, online. So yeah, and yeah, I just love it. I never regret it. It's just like it feels part of me. Like it feels very natural. And yeah, like right now, like I have this one that's a long-term client in America, so Texas. And it's been very, very beautiful to support him like for a year now with his like just kind of like dissolving his like trauma with his mother. So like a lot of like neglect, and that brought him like a lot of like like mental health issues and community. He wasn't able to interact well, like how he wanted socially, and then also like financially, just getting like too much anger, too much frustrations and like friction in his relationships. So we were able to like remove that. And he was able to also get financially like supported like very well, like now, like from this estates. It's been a really beautiful journey. So I enjoy working with people like this and like him. And I'm just, yeah, like I really want to go on podcast and share myself and my vision, with others, and see like who I can work with and support in this way as well.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful to hear that. For myself, I think, I see that you're really well traveled. You've been around a lot of places. I always find that really rather fascinating because I haven't traveled very much at all. One of the reasons for that is because I tend to get very homesick. It's
Yeah.
something that's always happened for me. I've just, I recently retired, so I started podcasting in December and doing work, working with people in the local community on health
Hmm.
and well-being. So hence,
Okay.
and for about probably I've been about 10, 15 years. I've been practicing mindfulness meditation, which I did in my job.
Okay.
That's kind of where that comes from. But I'm really keen to hear from other people and what they do. So, okay, so Lenka, tell me. I asked this question for nearly all of my guests. Tell me, what gives you peace?
Yeah. By the way, sorry, I just wanted to fill in. Yeah, like well traveled. Yeah, I've been to 28 countries. I know, like that was my life goal, my dream. Like when other people were like, "Oh, get married, settle down, have kids," I'm like, "No, I want like education and travel." So that was my dream. And I've lived in 8 countries. So it's like I love it. But now it's time for the other things, like more settled and just more like more like commitment, like to yeah. So I'm in that part. By the way, I noticed Lord of the Rings on your t-shirt as well, so yeah.
Oh, thank you. No, a massive, massive fan. You probably noticed with the Gandalf beard as well.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm a massive fan as well. It's like my favorite movie.
Just to go ask you again, what brings you peace?
What brings me peace? Yeah, that's a really interesting question because I really feel like I had to go to Asia to find that. Like, I mean, growing up, like I always knew, like in your childhood, like or I mean, like from my personal experiences, like I found always found peace like in love and in like relationships that were very like caring and very harmonious and just connected to the divine. And then like later on in my life, I went through like this huge amount of trauma, like in many different areas. And so that was very disturbing. So then I like lost my peace, so then that's how I'm able to help others. Cause like I know what it's like to be like emotionally disturbed, mental, just to not have that peace. And then going to Asia, that was like the recovery for me because like I consider like the West being like very masculine, like it's very logical, structured, and kind of like man oriented, while like from my perspective or experience, while Asia is like very feminine and like very flowing and like very connected to nature and just like a lot more spirituality, like in the more like free form and more like a natural form. So that's what brings me peace, because to like join like these energies, like the divine masculine and feminine, like and have harmony there. So like I needed to like refill myself with that feminine energy out in the east, and like now just to like really to merge these two, and yeah, to find that balance. So yeah, like what brings me peace is like many things, but like mostly nature, or just looking, like, seeing the sun outside and just like receiving that solar energy, for example, or like listening to the birds, like it's being in the stillness and like in the moment, or, playing with my son, take him out for a walk, or just like doing the simple things like being completely present. Of course, like yoga, meditation, and Reiki as well. So there are many things, but it's just like basically coming into the calm, like heart space within,
Yeah.
and like centering, and just like feeling who you are, and that place of stillness inside.
So you get out to go to the countryside
Yeah.
or to the coast at all? Because you say you're in London. Are you sort of right in the centre of London?
Yeah.
Sort of,
Yeah, we are like West London, so there's a few parks that we can go to. Like now, of course, like we're watching, like observing the nature coming into spring, and I have this like Buddha right here, so like that brings me peace and calm every time I look at that. And so like there's nature around. We haven't like really ventured out into like the English countryside much. I know that's nice. I've lived in England before, like for years, so I know what that's like. But yeah, right now it's like London.
where like you were saying about coming down to Margate, what's called the North Kent coast, or we call it the Turner coast, because with the Turner Gallery, the
Yeah.
famous Turner painting of the ship with the sunset. In the summertime, we get the North Kent coast gets these fabulous sunsets, and they're probably some of the best ones to see around the world. I would have thought. Encourage you that if in the summertime you want to come a break, come anywhere along the coast from basically Faversham, Whitstable, Herne Bay, Birchington, Westgate, Margate. During the evening,
Mhm.
you get a lovely view of that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for the invitation. We do have a plan to go out there just to visit, my son's grandma's house and his uncle that lives there. So, like we do, and we have a friend in Broadstairs as well. So we've been planning that anyway. So thank you so much.
Cool. So what was it? What did you start doing when you say you would obviously before you got into the holistic health? What was your first career goals, or what were your first ideas about?
Well, I was in art first, so like fine art. So yeah, basically, as you say, as your question was like, all these things are like basically the things that are very peaceful and that I find peaceful and calming. So like painting for me was like that sense of like bringing like peace or bringing that sense of calm, to myself because like I love art, but there's like different types of expression. There's dance as well. There's like acting, those are more like expressive, like the extroverted, like you're dealing with more with people with the connection there. So art is like more like internal,
Yeah,
so and introspective. So you're sitting there with your canvas and you're painting and expressing yourself. So um yeah, like I found that very peaceful and very meditative and just like coming back into that place of like calmness and stillness. And yeah, so I like this. Then the second career like choice was teaching, so that's more extroverted. So I find healing to be like a good combination between the introvert and extrovert activities, which are like finding that sense of calm and peace, like within, because receiving the divine energies, like, into my own body, my own space, and like the workspace as well. Like I'm healing some or like helping to assist someone to, you know, promote their health and well-being. And then of course like you're dealing with like it's like extrovert too because it's dealing with another person and or people in a group. So
that's really interesting. Talking about it being the energies being introvert and extrovert. I never heard it
yeah.
mentioned like that before. I can kind of associate with of that with myself.
Yeah.
I'm also a musician as well, so I play in a band. So, the extrovert thing is, so I can sort of be fairly shy around people,
Yeah.
but once I get in front of the microphone, and it's either singing or playing the trombone, performing
Hmm.
music, it's almost like become somebody else. It's really interesting, isn't it? How we can actually explore that.
Yeah, definitely.
The question I want to ask you, Lenka, is we're talking about sort of creative people being creative, and in my experience, people that I've worked with in the past to support is very often people. I found people that are quite creative also have the downside of that is that they're with the strong imagination they experience a lot of anxiety and a lot of
Mhm.
problems in their lives. Is that something that you connect with or you recognise?
Yeah, definitely. Like I went through that myself and it's like the transformation actually is very beautiful. Like I'd love to work with people like this as well because it's just so enriching like for both parties. Like it gives me so much pleasure like to see somebody from going from like this like anxiety and kind of stress and like to really like calm them down because like listening to them like you really get to know like their story and the situation, right? And all the aspects of their life like involved in the stress and the anxiety, and it just feels like so overwhelming for them, right? Like it just at that time it's like this huge problem, and they don't know how to deal with it. There's no way out seemingly, right? There's nothing that they feel like they can do. That's why they're under this stress and anxiety, because there's no solution. They don't know the way out, right? But there actually is, because like the sense of calm, like just even talking about it. And I've had some clients with this too, that this one lady, she came to me like with exactly this, like she didn't know if she was looking for a therapist or like someone to talk to, and like she was just under so much stress from like family. Like she's actually originally from London and then she lives in Egypt right now with her, she got married there. And so and she was just under so much pressure with her new life, which was very happy in Egypt, and her old life, which is like her like dying father and her traumatizing mother, and also her brother that was just like victim mode all the time, right? So that was just bringing her like a lot of pain and struggle. And she was trying to help them, but they were like literally using her, just like sucking her dry. And I could see that she just placed so much confidence in herself to create this beautiful life with her husband and her daughter, and then now they're conceiving a second child. And she created this, like, she cut her life off, like where it was like unsuccessful, back then, and she created this life, and then her family was just like trying to get that and suck it, and being kind of vampires for her, like financially, emotionally, in so many different ways. So just talking about this and doing the meditation and like really like connecting with the divine and like finding that clarity was like transformative. Like after every session we're like just in so much glow and like appreciation for life and like seeing things clearly, and like she's like, oh, thank you, this is like epic, so transformative. And she was able to see like what to do, where to help, or like send like distant help, like send them like distance love, and don't let them like take advantage of her, because she built this, right? But still love them and see like how they were important, but like enough is enough, like the boundaries are right here, right? So yeah, it was like really about setting boundaries for herself and protecting what she has while at the same time helping as much as she could. So that was just beautiful. And then like she just felt so much peace, and like I just get so much joy and pleasure out of like seeing people like transform like this. And I want to see like more, yeah, like more people's lives. Like, yeah, even my friend, I'm staying with my friend right now, like he was suffering through this too, like anxiety. And it's like also like he had a different issue because it's like about being alone and like feeling alone when like you feel like there's no one who can understand you, or no one there for you. So then it's just like being a friend or companion and like building that connection, like the heart in the heart space, and like really like anchoring like this connection and like love, like divine love into, with that other person. And it's like holding their hand through it, like just bringing in like all the aspects of like, yeah, many things. I mean, encouraging him to like join a spiritual group, for example, or finding friends that are like-minded, and like just seeing the beauty all around. So like instead of complaining like everyone in London is so negative, like I can't find any dates, or just complaining, about everything, like this, just everything sucks, to bringing like more like positive mindset. Well, there are good things, or if you want to visualize your future or like make your dreams come true, you can. And if you want to live somewhere in Greece, or Spain, like you can, make some plans to actually make your future come true.
I love that. Something I learned many years ago is very much about the way we hold ourselves,
Yeah.
particularly particularly when you're out in the community. Um,
Yeah.
is sometimes if we show our vulnerability, there will
Yeah.
people will attack us. Whereas if we can actually kind of just show that we've got a little bit of calm confidence, uh,
Yeah.
stay away. And I learned that about 20 years ago when I started working with young people
Hmm.
in a hostel, and I couldn't understand why these lads would be coming back, 17, 18-year-old lads would be coming back and saying they don't end up having a fight or somebody attacked them in the street for no good
Hmm.
reason. And I came to the conclusion that there was a vulnerability there.
Yeah.
Now that vulnerability sometimes comes across as quite aggressive, but
Yeah.
still a vulnerability, and and that's I kind of learnt about that and realised that actually we can protect ourselves by displaying a bit of a calmness,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
and that picks up. And I found that with when I do the meditations, when I do group meditations, is that you get into a room of people that all think the same, are thinking the same thing, and desiring the same thing,
Yeah.
becomes much more powerful as a
Exactly.
community, isn't it? That's the spiritual side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because we literally like emit like brain waves and heart waves to others, that they pick up. Like we may think that people can't read our mind, or, like what we're thinking, or, they can observe our actions. Yeah. But like we think, well, nobody can like, know what I'm thinking right now, but they can. Like, even though they may not know the specifics, like the exact details, but they pick up like on our, like on the energy we emit. So it's much better to emit like this peaceful energy, and then they are calm, like feeling calm because they feel safe, right? So it's like really about safety a lot.
Yeah, and that atmosphere can remain in the room as well.
Yeah.
I had this with a group I ran um, a few about 5 or 6 years ago, where one person from the group arrived an hour late.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I said, "I'm sorry, we've just finished." He said, "Oh," I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm quite happy to do a bit of a one-to-one with you."
Yeah.
I took him down to the group room, and the
Yeah.
moment he walked in, he said, "Wow, what a lovely, peaceful room."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because the atmosphere was still there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's real, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so real, right? Like it can be felt when you walk into a room and it's like peaceful, as opposed to you walk into a room and it feels so messy and chaotic, and you
Yeah,
can like literally almost see like somebody had a fight there previously or an argument. You can pick up on it, especially like if
yeah,
you're sensitive.
yeah. I do. I mean, I must admit, I tend to find that I am quite intuitive, and I've
Yeah.
learned that I'm quite intuitive and sensitive. You were saying right at the beginning of this about this country, the UK, being, and it was quite, probably as growing up, it was quite a misogynist kind of country, and like boys were boys, and men were men, and were silent type and didn't show any emotion. I tried to be like that growing up because that's kind of what we were led to be like. And I've learned over the years that actually that's not who I am. That I am quite a, I admit I am a bit sensitive. I do pick up on the spiritual side of things, and I can pick up on people's moods. Quite often, I find if there's something going on in a particular place, perhaps down the pub or something, I
Mm-hmm.
can sense a bit of an atmosphere going on. I thought, right, I'm going to go now because something's going to kick off in a minute. And
Yeah.
I can sense it before it gets there. Uh,
Yeah.
and there's a knowing that time to when to walk away,
Yeah.
and not get involved, as opposed to
Yeah.
sometimes getting into the position where sometimes you want to kind of fix it,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can help a little bit, but other times it's better to walk away and stay away from it. Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think most people are sensitive anyway, but it's just the culture. If we grow up, and we're taught to be a certain way in schools as well as my son is like homeschooled, and there's a lot more freedom, that way, as like when, kids at school, they're all taught to be a certain way, and then you have to be that way. So you're taught that. So it's understandable. But I think like now people are just expanding and opening up a lot more and just a lot more expressive. So it's good.
yeah. It's amazing now when you sort of see some television stars and sports stars, people on the TV now are now coming out of their shells and saying, actually, these are the problems I've had through my life. And so I think the mental health issue is getting more good exposure,
Yeah.
but I don't think we're there yet. I think we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think COVID was a good thing for this, like because, or like good thing because just like it was stigmatized. Like mental health was very stigmatized before COVID, right? And then like when COVID came, like suddenly everybody had mental health problems because if you're like stuck in a room in your house all day and for a long time, it's just bound to happen. It's just not healthy, right? So like a lot more people started having mental health issues, and now it's just so much more normal to have them and to also like address them and to work on them, which is a really good thing. And to heal, to try to get out of the mental health issues and to really adopt like a healthy mindset. And there are just so many tools now out there, like accessible for us to use. And
I'm very,
um,
very keen. I'm really keen to break the stigma of what's so-called mental health issues,
yeah,
and actually realise that we're all actually much the same.
yeah, exactly.
Someone was talking to very recently was sort of saying that actually, if everybody went to a doctor for a diagnosis,
Yeah,
probably 99% of people would get some kind of label.
of course. My gosh, of course. Yeah, yeah, like even human design, for example, like if you want to talk about this topic, I am very interested in this as well. I was surprised because like when I was growing up, like people used to say, like, because I was not comfortable in my life in Canada, right? So then my friends would say, "Oh, like you're so bipolar. Like sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad." And that's like sometimes a normal thing. Of course, everybody gets happy and sad. I mean, you can't be like the same all the time, right?
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah, like of course I love being excited. And then of course I've had traumas that made me feel really sad, like what are you to do, right? And then in Bali, there was this a healer, you know, like, well, actually this, yeah, but this person working with human design. And then like he looked at my chart, like my birth date, and he's like, "Oh, you have a split in your soul in your human design." I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, like, you know, if you don't get what you need, like your love, and if you're not supported properly, your personality splits. Like, you know, like you become one, and then this other person, you become two people, right?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, that's what they saw on me, but like it's being born that way." So everyone, like my son has a double split. Like if he doesn't receive like enough love and support, he turns into four personalities, and everyone has something, like you said, 99% of people, because we all like are like susceptible. Like if we're not cared for enough, like if you or like anyone else is not cared for enough, doesn't receive like enough like nourishment, like in terms of love and affection and attention and like curiosity and adventure and like, you know, all these like amazing like life things, like life fulfillment, you know, then like you are whole and complete if you receive that. But if not, then of course like you just decline into you know, like this other, the dark side, right? So yeah, I mean there's and yeah, like one of the things I would love to do is like bring people like awareness to like exactly this, that there's nothing wrong with them, they just need what they need.
yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah.
it's that, and also I think it's people being heard as well. It's a very much a male thing. Is men always want to fix things, right? Because that's the way we are. And actually, sometimes things don't need fixing. That
Yeah,
it just needs someone to listen, because we work eventually we'll work out our own solutions.
that's it, exactly, that's right.
I just want to share with you. Are you talking in terms of the anxiety that I
Hmm.
always got from being away from home? This go,
Yeah.
this goes back about 12 years ago, when I just joined the band, and we did a little trip down to Cornwall, camping out outside of a pub in the back garden of this pub. It was a bit like hardcore camping, really, because it wasn't a proper campsite, and I was really missing home, and I was really feeling anxious, and really
Hmm.
not feeling at all well, feeling sick. And one of the guys down there, who was a friend of the person I was in the band with, his name's Nick, quite a character, and he just said to me, "Tell you what," he said, "just sit down." He said, "Let me talk you through this." He said, "Close
Hmm.
your eyes and take a few deep breaths." Just kind of talked about everything's okay. You can hear the wind blowing. You can hear the birds in the sky.
Exactly.
And everything's okay. And everything's ordinary. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes, and the whole anxiety lifted off me, and it was an incredible experience, and that really got me. That's what started me off thinking, right, that's what I've
Yeah.
experienced. I want to be able to deliver that for other people. And then I
Yeah.
realised I got a bit of a skill for it, got a bit of a talent for it. It
Yeah.
it worked, and I can sit amongst a big group of people. I'm quite happy to go up on stage and with a microphone and talk to people about that, and to get them to realise that everything is okay, and
Yeah.
we can be calm. Um,
Exactly. That's it. That's exactly it. Like get into the body and like feel and hear and listen and see, like just using our senses.
Accepting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Accepting of what's around. So even accepting discomfort,
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. That's a big one. Yeah. Exactly.
just being there. So it's not, rather than trying to get rid of discomfort. I mean, I managed to do it with toothache once. I
Yeah.
had quite severe toothache on the way to running a group one evening, and I just managed to focus my mind and just
Hmm.
let it be there.
Yeah.
And then once I got into to do what I needed to do, it had virtually gone.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah,
no,
that's it. That's beautiful. And is this what you focus on? Mental health or like how?
yeah, but mental health, physical health, mental health mainly, because that's
Okay.
the main thing. So the two are connected anyway. I think we got, if our physical and mental health. It's one thing. I got a little diploma in acupressure last
Hmm.
year, so I'm a great believer in that, and that's something like acupuncture, but it's something you can do to you. We can do to ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm a,
exactly.
and I'm a great believer that we can allow our body to heal naturally.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
give it permission to. So that kind of focusing, that body scanning and focusing on the body, uh,
Yes.
and choosing to believe that it will operate. If we allow it, if we allow nature to operate properly, allow these things to drift away naturally.
And where do you practice? Like, what do you do?
Well, I've got there's a shop in the village uh,
Okay.
with a lady. She's running a CIC as well called Heart in the Community, and
Mhm.
she allows me to use the back of her shop to deliver some I deliver some mindfulness meditation there. There's another community cafe in the village as well that allows me to do it. I'm intending to kind of try and get out and do this online um, as well. I have
Mhm.
tried to do that in the past. So having just recently early retirement, and I'm looking at trying to set up something that I can do just as a small community interest community, and learn more about this, learn more about myself, learn more about other people. I've always been interested in other people,
Yeah.
and I'm loving doing the podcasting. The podcasting is another separate project, if you like. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I'm looking to build on and
Okay.
get more guests. I'm really it's something when you find something you get joy in, isn't it?
Exactly.
I the work I did for 16 years. The last few years, I fell out of love with it,
Yeah.
for various reasons. Uh, I felt restrictive. I didn't feel like I was able to expand out into what I
Hmm.
wanted to do. Restricted by what it.
Yeah.
Uh, is that
Yeah.
something you found that? Have you found that having have you been employed and then go and then now you work for yourself? Is that how it is for you now?
Yeah, well, like I studied this in Korea and then we moved to Bali. So I had a job like teaching English there. And then when we moved to Bali, we were always on the tourist visa and I was still studying at that time at the beginning. And then I completed my studies in Canada. So then I got the, doctorate there and then we went back to Bali but we were still on the tourist visa. So I wasn't able to like practice fully, just like, I mean, to some extent, yes, in person, then also online. So just whoever, and then also like more like long-term work with people like over the years, like really like yearly, just like very long-term work. So yeah, I guess, in this way as well. I did want to set up also a practice, like open up like a physical practice in Bali and in different parts of the world. So I had a team as well, but that's still yet to happen. But yeah, I'd be really excited about that. Yeah, the opportunities are definitely there. But right now, I'm working online and like promoting, and I have a following of like 8,000 followers on Facebook, and so it's people are really interested in this, and yeah, I'm glad that I'm getting this like gravity of people, and so I want to expand as well, and yeah, like how often do you do the podcasts?
I started off doing it once a week. Well,
Okay.
initially, I just did just a couple random.
Okay.
Um, and what I've having done some podcast training, suggest is to put podcasts out on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
more or less the same day of each week, or if it's fortnightly.
Okay.
I started off
Yeah.
doing it weekly, and then I thought, no, actually, I'm going to go twice a week. So I do. I've got to put one out. I've got to. So what I do is I record and edit. That's how I prefer to do it. So I've got to put one out today. Actually, I'm a bit late doing it because, but
Yeah.
that's so Tuesdays and a Thursday. Doing that through Podbean, and it's there's a few people picking up, but the point is actually keep on. I just want to keep on doing it, keep working at it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but also learning about podcasting rather than sort of trying to make it perfect straight away.
Yeah.
Is to kind of just do it and see what happens. How do we know what works until we try it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I can see us like collaborating because it's the same field,
Yeah,
that we have. And I was yeah, on a podcast was well, planning one with someone in Vietnam, like a French person, but that's like at the end of April. And I'm trying to do one every week. So just various guests, but this is like a very fitting topic Yeah, I was also with another like healer, but we were like debating, but like I'm also trying to go on some like with more views or like more exposure. Like how many views do you have for your podcast right now?
I'm just coming up to about 500. So
Okay.
it's quite it's low at the moment. It's building out, but I think the more, and I've got about 15 that are live online at the moment from December. So it's a case of just carry on doing that, and the more
Okay.
the theory is the more you've got online, somebody picks up and they like it, the chances that they're going to listen to one podcast and go, oh, well, I listen to two or three of the other ones, the earlier ones,
Exactly.
go back and people go
Yeah.
back to the beginning. Should exponentially increase the listeners and so on. And I've got I've got a story to tell myself, but I'd rather do that as being interviewed by somebody rather than,
Mhm.
because otherwise it feels a little bit too self-indulgent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
realised that actually communicating growing up, having learned that I've got a bit of a neurodivergent brain, I understand now why that communication was difficult. So it's not about changing that or trying to. It's not about trying to get rid of that, should I
Yeah.
say? It's about actually understanding it and making changes as we go along. I mean,
Exactly.
if you listen to I did a podcast on neurodivergence with a guy from Orlando. He talks about it very clearly. Really interesting way about his experience of work and his realization about what it is and how he manages it. He's continuing to seek to understand himself and to seek to be able to communicate in a better way than he did before.
Ready?
Do you know the spirit of loving kindness
Yeah. Yeah.
meditation? That's my favourite one because we start with ourselves
Yeah.
and then share it with those in the room, and then share
Yeah.
it with those that we care about, and then share it with other people, and then share it with the whole world, and share it with nature.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful meditation,
Yeah.
and I think that's it, and it builds, but it starts with self, doesn't it? If we give that spiritual power to ourselves, then we're able to then share it with others. Now, listen, Lenka, I've got to go shortly. Would you believe I've got another podcast to record? Just round the corner. It's a shop round the corner in about at about 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I think if we get close to just wrapping up here. So it's been beautiful talking to you. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming over. Brilliant. Okay, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye for now.